everyone. I hope you're doing well. I have been coming into different kind of knowledge is the best way I can explain it. I've had a couple of experiences and information that's come to me. I can't speak English again, of course, sorry. That has come to me recently. Some of this information I've received when I was a young girl, but I just passed it off all these years of just being young, and kids are full of like fantasy, kind of false whatever going on, like an imagination, I should say. But let me add also that when I was a young girl, I was always told that Earth is a game. It's like like a game, and it is. And I've described it before as in, some people are made to be truck drivers. Some people are made to be teachers. They come to Earth for a specific reason, to teach, to learn, to help. And as I've got older and had my awakening in 2020, I've realized, oh my God, that was totally accurate. Wow. And another thing that I was given as a young girl, and even in my adulthood, but I've always just kind of passed it off thinking, that's kind of silly. Why did I even think about that? And what that is the clouds do hide certain things. During thunderstorms, things go on way above the clouds that we're not supposed to see. But also, some of our storms are altered by the government, I guess. They do things to thin out the population or to cause damage and or to scare us. They do control the weather. I'm not particularly, it's a hard word, for sure that it's the government, but somebody high up there is doing that in that kind of a category. I do know that some things, as in ships, are up above the clouds where you can't see them. I've seen a lot of that also. But I want to share something that happened to me just the other day. I was in a restaurant with my kid's dad. I cannot remember if it was it was before the tornado hit. Oh, by the way, the tornado was an F2 or 3, and it was a mile wide. And we were in the outskirt of the range. It showed a map with a big, long yellow swirl saying this is where it hit. Well, the yellow that mapped out that area, we were on the very edge of the yellow. And I find that kind of fascinating in a way because our house was not damaged at all. All the trees around our house caused the damage and knocked out power. We got that back finally. The house across from us and other houses down the street from us had house damage, car damage. The trees had fell on cars and flattened them. The house behind us, wow. And I think that was the trees that I heard that were falling, because there were enormous pine trees that were very, very tall. I just saw my phone dim, and I think because it gets hot. I think I have a problem with my phone, and it's brand new. But anyway, these pine trees were enormous, and there is a enormous tree root. If I went out there to step against it, back up against it or whatever, it would be taller than me because it's enormous. You could stand in our kitchen and see it, and it's huge. But he had a lot of trees on his property. He owned a great amount of acreage, and all these trees went down, landed on his house, and this was behind us. Down the street was pretty severe. Just all around us was really bad, and the only thing that we had was trees falling. Oh, and a tree fell and hit my daughter's vehicle and knocked out her glass. That's it. Oh, and it dented the top of the roof, and that was a tree limb. And I sent a picture in the last video of it. I think it was a picture. I might not have put that in there, but I have a picture of the limb that did that. So back to what I was talking about. Me and my ex were at Arby's, and I was kind of down, and it could be because of my pain and the surgery, whatever. So I'm sitting there eating, and as I'm looking down at the table, I was kind of in my own world. I was looking down at the table, and in my third eye, it was just like this. It was like my third eye opened, raised it up, and looked at my kid's dad, and I seen his soul. And I didn't want to look up, but I'm like, oh, that's different. And I had to explain to you about what it looked like. And then it was odd because it wasn't, maybe it was my third eye. I don't know how that works. I don't know. In my head, I was seeing the other people where we were eating in the restaurant. It was Arby's. And I could see their souls. And I'm like, oh, wow. And I get up and go get something. I can't remember. And I'm coming back and I happen to turn and look. And this young girl, probably about 12, was sitting in her chair and she was scooting up and she looked at me and I kind of smiled and I seen her soul. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, wow, that's beautiful. And what these souls look like is, ironically, they look similar. But they all had a characteristic about them, a mental, like a personality. But they were all doing the same to me. And what that was that their soul was all light. And of course, your soul can change what it looks like. It could be an orb. It could be a big giraffe or whatever. They could do whatever they want as a soul. But all these souls looked the same. And when I looked at it, like I said, it was a bright white soul. And all you could see was a face, kind of. Maybe not even a face. But I could see the eyes and the mouth. But it was so bright, it was kind of hard to see. But it was smiling at me. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty awesome, And so when I started seeing all the others, it was the same thing. They were so bright that you couldn't see nothing but the eyes and the mouth. And they were smiling at me. And the ones that were not even looking at me, as in humans, the human body, they were not looking at me. But I could see their soul looking at me. And I'm like, oh my God, they look so happy. They're smiling. Oh my God. And when I was passing that little girl and I turned and looked at her and smiled, after I smiled, bam, I saw her soul. And it was turning, watching me and smiling. And you could tell that soul was a childlike soul. It was the characteristic that soul was acting as, like a 12-year-old. And so I'm sitting there. I didn't tell my ex or anything. I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, thank you so much for that. I give so much gratitude to be able to see these people, their souls. And I sat there and just ate and didn't say nothing. But in my head, I'm like, thank you for that. I have not ever done that before. I have woke up a couple of times or not even fell asleep. One instance, I was awake. And I want to say, I don't know, I saw or felt something, I don't remember. But then I started, on my big toe, I felt this. And it was not like a nerve twitch, it was like a thump on my big toe. And I raised my head up and looked down there, I didn't see nothing, and it kept doing it for a little while, and then it stopped. And last night, I don't know what they were doing to my eye or nose, I don't know. But I kept feeling my eyelash moves. And I'm like, is that a bug? And I'm rubbing and trying to get it away. And then when I got done, I figured, okay, it's got to be gone. It would start, you could feel like hair moving all around in this area. And so finally, after the 100th time of trying to fix it, because I was doing this to my eyelashes, I was pulling on my eyelashes and it just kept going. And I'm like, okay, that must be my star family. They're doing something to that area. I don't know why. Sometimes I just don't know why or what they're doing. I'm not in my car yet because I still have quite a bit of pain in my right hip. And that's my bed. But right here, I have to lift my left leg up over the console while I'm on my right knee. And that's the right leg that I had surgery on recently. And I have to be able to step over and maneuver myself to get on my bed. Because that's where I get, and my clothes and everything would be over here, as some of you already know. But I'm still in quite a bit of pain, and I can't do that. Also, silly me, I'm not going to call myself stupid because you're not supposed to. Remember that. I thought I can get out there and help pick up trees out of the yard, meaning the light limbs. And I did, and I paid for it that next morning. And I about had another breakdown. I'm sitting there thinking, this pain will never go away. I just caused more pain, and I really didn't pick up anything heavy. But I would bend instead of squat because I can't squat. I'd bend over and pick up the light branches, and I'd get a handful, not an armful, and put it over in a pile. But I did grab a branch about that big. It wasn't that heavy, but when I started pulling it, and by the time I got to the pile, I was like, oh, I should not have done that, because I could feel the pull in both hips. And so the next morning when I got up, my calves hurt and back of my legs hurt, back of my thighs, I should say. And my hips were screaming. It was horrible. It was bad. Speaking of that, I need to go get more Tiger Balm. Tiger Balm helps. It's kind of takes the edge off. And what I do is I scrape some out of my finger and rub it on both hips where I feel the pain at. And I rub a big area on. I've tried BioFreeze. That helped until the coolness stopped. And I'm like, really? And it was only like 15 minutes. I don't know if expired. It might be expired. And there's a roll-on of Icy Hot. And nothing comes out of it. And it's brand new. And I'm like, what? But I have 4 pills that I can take for inflammation, and which would help me greatly. And I try to take them sporadically throughout the day because there's a lot of them. And but yesterday I had to take a pain pill. I still have some I had after surgery, and then they gave me a refill of a different one, a lighter dose of another category of pain pill. I'm not going to say what or anything on the camera, but I take that every now and then, only when I cannot control, well, I don't even know why I say control, when I can't handle the pain anymore. It's like when I've had enough and I feel like I'm going to have a breakdown, then what I do is I load my hips up with Tiger Balm, get on my bed, and put a really thick pillow under my legs where my knees are. That way my legs are bent. And I had this big pillow you can lean against, and it's got arms on it. And I put a heating pad on each hip, and I read. And that actually does help. So that's what I do, especially when it's bad. Today's okay. It's not weak pain, if that's the right terminology. It's kind of like a moderate pain. I hope you guys are doing well. And I hope that those of you who are not thinking they're a starseed, or you're not a starseed, or whichever, and are watching my videos, I really am grateful for that, because I have other things going on in my life other than my starseed things happening around. I hope you hang in there, because eventually I'll be back in my vehicle, if that's why you're here, and I can record more things for you concerning me living in my Durango. But that's kind of like all I've got to say. Oh, I need to say this. I had a light body vibration, but I don't remember where. I usually try to write these down, because in the next day or so, I just kind of tend to forget, and I don't like that. And I wonder why. Why after so long I tend to forget. But yeah, and I was so thankful, and I kept saying, often, I've missed you. I'm glad you're back, which they've always been there. I'm glad that you're letting me know that you're here. And I just kept saying, I am so grateful. I am so grateful, because as some of you know, I was really hurt that I couldn't feel or see them anymore. I still see orbs with my eyes. I see a lot being outside. Oddly, the ones I see outside are pretty big. They're like maybe baseball size, maybe tennis ball size too. But in my house, my apartment, when I lived in there, I saw the little ones just all the time. Also, for the new ones that have subscribed, if you look back to my earlier videos, maybe a year back or so, you will see in videos where in the title somewhere I put orbs. If you watch those, you will see orbs through the whole video. And I enjoyed that so much. I miss that too. But I don't watch in here like I did in the apartment. I don't watch in here to see if I have orbs. And come to think about it, I don't even think that when I'm editing I look either. I don't know. Maybe I've just adjusted thinking, well, I know they're there. I don't know. So guys, I'm going to end this here. I hope you're all doing well. I'm glad that you stuck around. I'm so grateful for that. I hope you're having a good day or night, whichever you're watching this, that you have. that sounded weird, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So love you guys so much, and I hope it shifts your soul immensely. I'm going to send each and every one of you love, light, and peace. Bye.